When I experienced it, the unsettling feeling of being observed, I was at home by myself, minding my own business. My skin pricked up with goosebumps. I had a strange feeling that something was wrong. I looked out the window at the outside garden that was completely dark. I then noticed a man hiding in the shadows, staring directly at me. His eyes were concealed by a worn-out hat's brim, and he was dressed in a tattered coat. He gave me a frightening, intense stare. I struggled to avert my eyes from his, while trying to ignore the prickling sensation that was creeping up my neck. He didn't do anything but stand there with a menacing grin on his face. My whole body shivered as a result. His smile widened and turned more vile, as though he delighted in the terror that had gripped me. I started to feel anxious and knew I needed to take action. My phone was in my hand, so I called the emergency number. A voice squeaked over the phone. 911, what's your emergency? There's a man in my garden, I mumbled. He's looking at me. Send assistance if you could. The operator told me to stay inside and reassured me that the police were on their way. My heart was racing as I peered through the window, but I noticed that the man's smile had changed to a menacing grin. He knew I had requested assistance. As I waited, my heart was thumping loudly in my ears, making the minutes feel like hours. The night was abruptly punctured by screeching of sirens, and I felt immediate relief. Finally, there was assistance. However, an unbelievable event occurred as the police car approached. The man vanished into nothingness. Inability to process what I had just seen caused me to blink. He disappeared so quickly. How was that possible? With their flashlights, the officers searched the garden in the pitch black. No sign of the man was discovered. I was perplexed and had a million questions. That wasn't possible. Had he been a figment of my imagination? Clear as day, I had seen him. A creaking sound suddenly appeared as the police were about to leave. Their front door was hesitantly opening when I slowly turned, my heart pounding. I was paralyzed by fear once more, which gripped me. Every second that passed, louder and louder footsteps resounded down the hallway. My home was being invaded by a malevolent force that I could feel getting closer and closer. I was forced to hide so that he couldn't find me. My breathing was shallow and quick as I shuffled upstairs. As the creaking persisted, it got closer and louder. I prayed it would stay locked as I went into my bedroom and did so. I strained my ears to hear anything that might indicate the man's approach as I listened carefully in the pitch blackness. Only the sound of my own heartbeat could be heard in the oppressive silence. Then I heard it, a quiet whisper that sent my blood rushing. The man whispered from the other side of the door, "I know you're here. Hiding isn't something you can do forever." As I came to terms with the pointlessness of my hiding place, terror overcame me. There was no way to get away from him or avoid him. He and the darkness that had entered my haven had to be faced head-on by me. I stepped out into the hallway after turning the doorknob with shaking hands. The man stood in front of me, his eyes gleaming with malice, and his smile wider than ever. Running was not possible for me. I couldn't run away. I had no chance of succeeding in this battle. A loud crash, however, reverberated throughout the house as he lunged in my direction. The man froze, his smile fading as the lights flickered. I noticed a chance to get away in the midst of the mayhem. I ran past him, down the stairs, and out into the night while my heart was racing. I turned away without turning around. I held back because I was afraid. I ran until my legs gave out, and I was certain I had far outrun that terrifying encounter. Weeks passed into days, and I continued to be plagued by the memory of that evening. Although the man was no longer there, the evil he represented continued to haunt me. Despite my escape, the fear persisted and left a permanent mark on my soul. The man's ever-expanding smile served as a constant reminder of the dangers that could be hiding in the most unexpected places in our lives. Additionally, I couldn't shake the feeling that he was somewhere out there, waiting patiently for the right opportunity to strike once more. As I lay awake at night, staring into the blackness, I'll always be plagued by the smile that almost ate me whole, because the suspense never really let up. I saw him every day, peeking outside my workplace, tall and thin, with shaggy hair covering his eyes. He was always there, rain or shine, watching me go about my daily life. It was disturbing, but I thought it was just a coincidence. But one fateful night, walking to my partner's house, I stopped. There he was, standing across the street looking right at me. How does he know where I'm going? Panic filled my chest, and I could feel my heart pounding. I cautiously approached him and asked him to explain in a trembling voice. "Why are you looking at me?" I managed to say, my voice almost a whisper. He looked at me with blank eyes, his expression unrecognizable. "I don't know you," he replied in a cold and monotone voice. My mind raced for answers. I couldn't answer. Unable to shake off my strange encounter, I hurried home. But as I approached my house, I felt strange. The man was already there and tried to open the window. Fear gripped me, and I screamed at him, my voice desperately begging him to stop. He looked at me with a twisted smile before disappearing into the shadows. I called 911 with shaking hands and tears streaming down my face. The police arrived quickly, and sirens pierced the night sky. I recounted the horrific incident and desperately sought their help, but they found no evidence of the intruder and no trace of his presence. I feel vulnerable and exposed. Days turned into weeks, with phone calls threatening to become a dreaded routine. Every time the phone rang, I made sure there was a malevolent and menacing voice on the other end. They know my fears, my secrets, my every move. I felt like a mouse bitten by a relentless predator. I couldn't sleep because paranoia took over every aspect of my life. I installed security cameras and changed the locks, but it wasn't enough. The phone continued to ring, leaving me on the edge and looking over my shoulder the entire time. I'm a prisoner in my own home, a victim of this unknown abuser. Then one stormy night, with thunder and rain, I found him. He was standing outside my window, his face hidden by the rain. Anger coursed through my veins and overwhelmed my fear. I screamed at him, my voice echoing through the night, commanding him to let me go. But he didn't back down. Instead, he put a finger to his lips in silence. Then, as if by magic, a car appeared at the end of the street. The headlights illuminate the rain-soaked road. With one last look, he hurried to the waiting vehicle and disappeared into the pitch-black darkness. Again, the police arrived too late. They searched the area, asked the neighbors, but found nothing. No idea, no clue. I was alone, filled with a creeping sense of dread. Who is that guy? What does he want from me? Over the next few weeks, I became a shadow of my former self. Fear robbed me of my confidence and made me tremble. Every day I looked back and looked forward to the next creepy encounter. The screams continued and grew more menacing with each passing day. And now, as I sit here, the story reaches its climax. I was alone in the living room when the phone rang again. I responded with a shuddering breath, bracing myself for the torment that awaited. But this time, things are different. A cold and menacing voice came from the receiver. "I've been watching you," the words creeped out. But there was a strange undertone in the voice, a hint of seclusion. Suddenly, the phone line went dead and fell into an eerie silence. With my heart pounding in my chest, I knew it was over. The man, the calling, the endless agony, all led to this moment. I understand this with amazing clarity. He no longer peers from the shadows. He's in my house. Turning, I came face to face with him, the intruder I had feared. The man who followed my every step. There was a twisted satisfaction in his eyes, as if he was enjoying a victory. I opened my mouth to scream, but no sound came out. In the last moment of sadness, I realized that some fears cannot be avoided. They cannot be solved. They consume you and consume your sanity until there is nothing but darkness. When his cold hand was around my neck, I knew that it was my fate. That's when I woke up in the hospital. Until now, I have no idea how I got there, nor who helped me, nor where the man who had become my fear was.